I'm always conflicted when you come as a tourist to a place that is focused so strongly on tragedy or in particular war. I don't need to tell you where we are today. We're in Hiroshima, and behind me is the A-bomb dome, the atomic bomb dome that has become positively infamous for having survived August 1945. The bomb itself was dropped about 160 meters from here, so it's actually quite amazing it survived. As Willie and I were talking this morning, the history of warfare actually is what's created the history of mankind in so many ways. And perhaps that's why, as we look around at literally busloads of tourists coming to see these things that memorialize the horror of World War II, maybe what we're saying is we are remembering, and maybe what we're saying is that we're honoring. The thing about any form of a war, particularly World War II and particularly where we are right now in Hiroshima, is it becomes facts and statistics on a wall. And then you get the story of a little girl called Sadako Sasaki. And she was about 2 years old when the bomb dropped here in Hiroshima. And she survived, but about 10 years later she got cancer and horribly died a painful death. But during her time in hospital, she heard the story of the crane. And the crane is supposed to live for 1,000 years, so she made, during her last months in hospital, 1,000 origami cranes in the hope of bringing about longevity. It didn't happen, but the children around her, her friends, were so touched that they decided to bring together a collection, and this happened all the way around the local area, in order to build this behind me, a children's monument, not just to acknowledge Sadako, but also all the children who died, not just for the dropping of the bomb, but years later, when the effect of this horrible thing took the lives of children even after the war. Hiroshima Castle is a little bit unusual in Japan in that most of the castles we've seen and hear about are sort of on the mountains or outside a town. This one was built right in the middle of the town and developed around it, so it's literally a city castle, built in about 1589, sadly destroyed by the atomic bomb in World War II, and faithfully rebuilt right here. Also called the Carp Castle, by the way. I have no idea why, but maybe we'll let you know on the way out. It's an Edo period sword. You should be able to flick it around. Heavy?
About 1 kilogram.
Yeah, should be able to work with that one easily. And that is the answer to the question, why is the Hiroshima Castle nicknamed Carp Castle? This is the moat, and apparently it was called Koi no Ura, which is Japanese for the carp seaside, because it just literally has that many carp in the waters. Over and over again, we just shake our heads at the orderly nature of the Japanese society. Look at these little kiddie winkles. They're not very old and they're sitting in a perfect circle, perfectly behaved. Himeji Castle is absolutely enormous, and it's definitely on the list of places you have to visit. So we got on the Shinkansen this morning from Hiroshima just to come and visit this thing. It's also called the White Heron for the reasons of how it's spread out. It started life as a tiny little sort of military settlement back in the 14th century. By the 17th century, it became this. And the best part about this castle is that it is the original castle, not a reconstruction. How many times have we had to take our shoes off since we came to Japan?
I think I've been wearing my shoes more off than on. My shoes are going to be pristine by the time we get back home.
Not with all the walking we've been doing, no. After the military masculine presence of the White Heron Castle, we're now in Princess Sen's environment in the West Bailey. She was married off at the age of 6 by her grandfather, who was the head of a war group, into the enemy camp. Many years later, there was more conflict between the two. She landed up being rescued, and Daddy married her off to the rescuer, and she went, no, this time for love. So she married the son of the heir to this beautiful castle and lived here very happily, followed by more tragedy. Her son died here, her mum died here, and then her husband died here. So she landed up a Buddhist princess, a priestess in the end, but her story and her energy remains as part of the White Heron Castle. We're walking her rooms, and now I'm having a moment with Princess Sen.